Welcome everybody to our Integrative Marketing webinar today. It is February the 8th, 2018, and we just keep learning things every single day as we continue to grow and expand our business, and most importantly, work with you guys on a day-to-day basis, learning a little bit more about your business so that we can help you drive more leads and sales and more success for you and for your company. So as you know, we're in a series of marketing as far as our target demographic is concerned. We started the beginning of really trying to define who our target demographic was by asking a ton of questions. Last week, we talked about creating audiences inside of Facebook's business portal. And today we're going to dive in, and we could even maybe call this, Mitch, 301 of target marketing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, going with that college theme with those different funny levels, that they don't just start at 1, 2.
Yeah. Or maybe this is like 501 or 701 or wherever you are, depends. So let's dive right in, Mitch. Why don't
a lot of people don't know about this.
Yeah. So why don't you dive in, Mitch? And if you'll lead the discussion here, I'll chime in as we move forward. And listen, for those of you that are on with us today, you're welcome to, in the chat window, throw some questions in if you have any specific questions. I know we've got people joining us from all over the world today. So glad to have you, and let's dive in, Mitch. Here we go.
All right. So just a quick review from last week, because Ryan and I were talking. 30 minutes isn't very long, so we don't have time to go into too much from last week. But it's recorded. So to get to audiences, you get into Ads Manager, come down to All Tools, come over to Audiences. And that's where we're going to be working. Last week, we talked about creating a saved audience or a core audience or an interest-based audience. Depending on who you talk to, they might call it something different, but it's exactly the same thing. It's just utilizing the way too much information that we give Facebook to target people. And then in addition, the information that Facebook has partnered with third-party providers to find out. I just learned a new one yesterday that you can target in that is if people are in the market for a certain type of vehicle. So if you're a car dealer, we need to talk, because you can target people that are in the market for a used full-size SUV, for instance. So if you have a used full-size SUV, that's where we're at. So last week we created that saved audience. This week we're going to go in. I said we're going to take that saved audience, which the sample we made was like 500,000 people. Lots of people. But how do you identify the people that are most interested in what it is that you have to offer? So Ryan, why is it important to narrow down that audience to the people that are actually interested rather than all of those 500,000?
Well, it's simple. It's like marketing a baby product to a grandma that's 65 years old. It just doesn't make sense, right? It's like putting in front of 12-year-olds vehicle insurance. Just doesn't make sense, right? So we have to determine who we are and who we're trying to get in front of, because as we further understand the core needs of who they are and what they're looking for, we in general can speak to those people in a way that they feel that there's a singular connection with them and really builds extra value in that relationship. And we've talked a lot about Facebook Live video content. We talk a lot about why Facebook Live video content works so effectively. Well, it's simply that. It's the fact that you can communicate with an audience, a direct audience for people you're talking to right now, and have a conversation with them in a way that builds a relationship. But the ad product, we can say that, right? If I have 1,000 people on my Facebook page and I do a Facebook Live event on my Facebook page, am I really getting in front of a targeted audience, or am I just talking to people that have liked my page or engaged with me at some point? Well, most of the time it's just, hopefully my page audience is my target demographic, but if it's not, then I potentially could be wasting dollars. So if you're talking about, Mitch, getting in front of the exact audience, it increases your capabilities or possibilities of having success, and it decreases your ad product pretty significantly.
Yeah, and then it's important to spend more time, give more attention to the people that really start to engage with you. Because there are, 500 million people that might be in your target demographic, but only a percentage of them are actually going to pay attention to what you talk about there. There's only a percentage that are going to watch your videos or click the like button on your post or visit your website. And so that's how you take the next step. You create that saved audience based on age and interest and all that, and then take them the next step. Focus on those people that have watched of your video. Because let's say Christy, for instance, you put out some videos about restoration. If somebody watches 50% of your video about restoration, for instance, they're probably kind of interested in restoration or cleaning.
Or
and
you
so we
just
want to spend more.
Or in addition to that, you just created a really cool video. I actually watched the video from your ad set. I thought it was awesome. Right?
Yeah, that's true too.
Piques people's interest.
Yeah.
And it starts building that brand awareness, which is so important.
Yeah, but you got to take people the next step. Mm-hmm. And this is the part that I think is often missed in Facebook ads is, well, in all advertising, honestly, is you just take that first step, which is you have to take the first step, and that's what most people are doing, but you got to take the second step because there's multiple touch points in marketing. So to do that, shall we dive in of how to do it?
Let's do it.
And nuts and bolts. So let's say you've posted a video on your Facebook page. You've sent that video out to the homeowners that are between the ages of 18 and 30 because that's your target demographic. And now you want to retarget people that watched part of your video. You're going to come back to the Audiences tab. You're going to hit this Create Audience button. This time we're going to do Custom Audience. You can think of that like it's custom because this is custom to you. Nobody else can create this audience because it's only you. And then we have all of these options for custom audiences. We'll get into 2 of them today, but let's start with this engagement audience. We have a lot of ideas with engagement audiences, but we're going to focus on video. We posted a video. And now you're going to choose the content type. And so you have 3 seconds, 10 seconds, 25, 50, 75, and 95% of your video. Now 3 seconds, that's, you can think of these as like steps away and steps of qualification because you have your first audience that you sent the video to. That's kind of an interest-based audience, kind of making some assumptions. 3 seconds is a very small step away, a very small step, because you've probably noticed that Facebook videos auto-play. And so a lot of people make it to 3 seconds on accident. Mm-hmm. And so that doesn't necessarily mean they're actually interested in what you're talking about. They could have just accidentally watched that much of your video. And then 10 seconds, that's a decent step. I wouldn't say too many people make it to 10 seconds on accident, but some people do. And then as you get into 25%, 50%, 75%, and 95%, those are people that become very interested in what you're talking about based on the length of your video. So today, let's do a 25% audience. So you click on that 25%, and then you choose videos, and then you're going to pick your page. Let's make one for our page today. Actually, I've already made them for rainbow. So we'll make another one for rainbow. So now you come in here, you select your Facebook page. Many of you are probably only going to have one Facebook page, so you don't have to select it. But then just check the box on these videos that you want to include. Now there's multiple strategies that you can do here. Make sure you go to the next page. You can select videos based on topics. So let's say you have a certain topic about, in the case of Rainbow International, they do both cleaning and restoration. So let's say you want to make an audience of cleaning type videos. So you only select the cleaning videos. And then you do another one that you select the restoration videos. So then you can kind of divide that audience of the people that are interested in restoration and the people that are interested in cleaning. Or you can just select all of them so that you put them all together. I would suggest doing both. So select the videos, confirm. Now we have these, 10 videos or whatever that are selected.
Mitch, one thing that's interesting about this, Mitch, which is really nice, is that you may do video content on your business page currently, but you've never created a custom audience. And I think that's what you're going to talk about next, right, Mitch? Is you can actually take the last 365 days of video content that's been created and build an audience, or maybe you just do the last 30 days. Or maybe you do the last 90 days, because depending on what your strategy looks like in your ad product, you may only want to do the last 30 days or even the last 7 days of people that have come into it, right? So you just got to pay attention to what that looks like and how it can really build value for you long-term in your business. Because if you do it the right way, like we talked about, you do it the right way, and you can really maximize a very short time frame window. You can even optimize like on a 7-day, 7-day attribution window. So every 7 days, this is updating. and then you can run remarketing and retargeting campaigns so they're getting in front of them very, very quickly. But if you've never created an audience, the best thing to do is go pull every, if you want to categorize and put in buckets, you can, but pull all the video engagements, 25% video engagements in the last 365 days and see what that looks like.
Absolutely. Start with all of your videos and then get narrowed down from there.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, people that we start with that have been really good at doing videos in the past, then we can come in and we create an audience of people that are already warmed up to their brand of 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people. So that's where this gets really exciting, is as you are consistent with this, then you do build up an audience of 20, 30, 100,000 people. We actually have one. I didn't tell you this, Ryan, but we have one where the 25% view audience is 250,000 people because the video went viral. So
awesome.
that's incredible. And as you do more viral videos, you don't necessarily have to pay for the original video views. This is not only people that you paid to watch your video.
That's right.
It's people that organically watch your videos. So as you get more shares and likes and comments on your videos, then it gets more views into this audience.
Mitch, a question that, that might be on the minds of those people that are watching this right now is simply, well, how do you know if a video is going to go viral or not?
That's a really good question. I wish I could give a perfect answer, but we can give some guidelines.
Yeah,
for sure. Because even I've heard some of the people that have the most viral videos out on YouTube, they can't hit it viral every single time.
That's right.
Try. But some general guidelines.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say a couple general guidelines is capture attention in the first 3 seconds. Because like we said, videos autoplay on Facebook. And so if you can capture that attention in the first 3 seconds, then they're more likely to stay longer.
Mm-hmm.
And then give value, like make it either entertaining, educational, or what's a third one? I feel like there's a third one that I should talk about. Entertaining or educational.
Yeah, they do they call it education, right? Education and entertainment at the same time, right? So keep it entertaining, keep it lively. I think one thing as part of, I'm not quite sure why we're digressing or pulling off a tangent here, but as far as video content is concerned, I've been studying this for quite some time. Recognize that on video, people capture your emotion on video about half of what you actually portray to your audience. So meaning you've got to overdo it. You really have to overdo it to get in front of people, because if you're just kind of like, well, I was excited about it and it came across excited, then when somebody watches it, it probably came across relatively monotone, right? So you got to get super animated and really, really get into the video each time if you want to capture an audience, capture an attention. But like you said, Mitch, then the number one thing as far as video content is concerned is consistency. Yep. Listen, if you want to build a huge audience, just be consistent. And I'm not saying do it every day. Some people claim that you want to do it every day. I probably do it 2 or 3 times a week. And that's enough for me to stay connected to my community, stay connected to my audience, because that audience in and of itself really grows and expands as I'm more consistent in that process. Now, there are times when you want to do a quick little blitz, especially if you're starting a brand new business page. Get on there as much as you can, 3 to 5 times a week, and share value-based content, because then you can build this audience and pull from this audience people that now really want to pay attention to your content, and then you can really drive that. So what we've seen that, especially in the corn maze world, right, Mitch, where people in general, like they were nervous to do Facebook Live content, but then they saw the result of our coaching towards Facebook Live content. Yeah. And they were like, I don't care what I look like on Facebook. If it drives money, I'm going to do it. Right?
Exactly.
So kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is a hurdle to get over. But yeah, consistency is the key, because that example that we shared of 250,000 and 25% audience, that's not their first video. They've done a lot of videos. And the importance in consistency is, even though you can follow those guidelines every single time, sometimes one of them will catch and sometimes one of them won't. And so if you're consistent, then you have more likely to get one to catch.
That's right.
So yeah, that's how you create a video audience. Name it. I typically name it 25% views, 365 days. So just name it something that you're going to remember what it is, because later you're going to have to select this audience. So then you hit this create audience button. And that's it. Now you have this audience. It takes, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes to populate the size of the audience. And then you're actually able to start using that right now. But it's good to see the video size audience before you start using it.
Yeah, Mitch, and I think another interesting point when it comes to creating that custom audience is you can actually take that and if like you said before, if you're trying to put people in certain buckets, you can say carpet cleaning 25% video view audience 365, or cleaning restoration or restoration 25%. So just make sure that your nomenclature behind how you create those audiences is understandable to you or to whoever else is running the ads. Because you don't want to have to go and rework those ad sets multiple times throughout that process. So,
yep. And then to update these audiences, that's something to talk about, because you want to keep this updated regularly, because you're going to be using these in advertising. So if you make a new video, you need to make sure to add that video to this audience. So what you do is you just come back to it, click on it, hit the edit button. And this is why it's important to do that naming, so that you know which audience to add it to. And then you just hit edit and you check the new boxes. This time there's no new videos because I just created it, but you'll just check the new boxes that are there. If the box is not checked, then you need to check it.
Yep.
And then hit confirm and update audience. And then any ad that you're running at this audience, it's just going to update automatically, so you can keep it super up to date.
Yeah, and I think that's extremely important to understand as well. You want to create these audiences because this will be the audience you'll select in your ad product. And like Mitch said, it'll be real time. So once you're outside of 365 days, so if we're 2 years down the road, this audience is going to look totally different as a 25% view than what it would look like in a year or 2 years. So just make sure you're always updating and adding new things to that so you can continue to capitalize on the attention that's happening on your pages and on the video content. So Mitch, we had talked about another one. So video views, right? What's another type of custom audience that we can create using this strategy?
Yeah, so let's do one more engagement audience. Then we can move on to website traffic. You have all of these that you can select from. Another powerful one, especially as you're getting started. This is another one that you can go back a year into the past that you've been working on your page. So Facebook page. Sorry, let me go back. So out of all these options, Facebook page. These are people that have done engagement on your Facebook page. So you select your page. I'll just keep on this theme of rainbow. And then you have all of these options: people who engaged with your page, people who visited your page, engaged with any post or ad, people who clicked any call to action button, people who sent a message, and people who saved your page or any post. So these are just different actions that they can take on your page. And again, it's kind of the same type of concept with the 25% or 95% video views. Everyone who engaged with your page is more like that 10-second or 25%. It ends up being a pretty big audience. But if we say people who clicked any call to action button, that's going to be a more serious audience, because that means they wanted to message you, or they wanted to visit your website, or they wanted to, I don't know what else they could do. That's going to be a more engaged audience.
Well, what's important with that, especially if you're running retargeting ads, right, Mitch? If you go and you select that, we have a client right now that they're doing this amazing front end free, like cleaning and inspection of like your electrical, plumbing, and mechanical systems. And we've driven a ton of people to that landing page. Well, now in the remarketing, to really get them to convert, we can have a specific message and pull this part of it up where it says, instead of people that just engaged in your page, we may even want to go in and say people who clicked on the call to action. Because then we're really remarketing to people who actually took an action, which again quantifies that these people in general are probably the most likely to take another action that we're putting in front of them to turn into higher revenue. So when you again, what Mitch is talking about, as you kind of bring people down the funnel a little bit further, what you realize is that the closer you get to that last conversion part of your sales funnel, the more niche your advertising needs to be with specific calls to action. And those calls to action will really drive the conversion, which will decrease the amount of dollars you're spending in the acquisition phase. Instead of, again, sending out you might send 5,000 flyers out to the 65-year-old, moms and parents about diaper discounts, and you might get some to convert, but maybe you had some of those that have grandchildren, right? And so as you get further, as you kind of take people down that funnel, you find out who are those that have grandchildren, and then who are those that have grandchildren that are 0 to 1 years old or 2 years old. Well, now that you found them, now you can run a remarketing campaign for diapers, because then maybe they'll buy that for their daughter, their son. So there is application of, we can really get a broad mass audience on the front part of the funnel. But then as we filter through that process, like we're doing here in this custom audience, as you filter through that, then the messaging can change to give strong calls to action and saying, hey, you took action on this previous, you clicked on our button before, and you might even do a video. Listen, you came to our website before, you looked at all of our information. What else do we need to give you in order to get you to convert? In order to get you to become a customer? Comment below and let's make this thing happen for you.
We actually have a client that just did a video exactly like that. He has people that he has a product that they purchase online, and so he has people that add it to cart, but then they don't finish. And so he's found through calling those people, because they collect leads, that some of them were just at work or they were on the golf course and couldn't finish it right then. So then he called them, he finished the purchase. And so now we're just going to make an ad and say exactly that. And the ad says, hey, it's James here. Oops, I said his name. I guess that's okay.
That's all
right. I noticed you visited our website. I noticed you were super interested. But maybe you're like this other guy who was working and didn't have his credit card with him, so couldn't complete his purchase. Maybe you want to do that now. And we're about to set those up today or tomorrow, so I can't give you results yet, but it'll be good.
Well, and I think the awesome part about this, Mitch, is you can really define your target demo. Now, the complexity, and I want you to understand this from a business owner's perspective, the complexity is if you haven't built that initial awareness audience, then it's really hard to get super defined on the bottom end. And that's why we like to take the process of really starting to build some awareness about your company, about your promotion, about your product and offering. And then as we work with you, we'll find other videos that will really create that conversion. I think a lot of times as a business owner, we have a tendency to just create a video and think that the video is going to convert, and that's all we have to do. We just need to keep that in mind that, yeah, the initial video might capture their initial attention, but what is the next step? And always be thinking as a business owner, what is the next step? What's the next touch point that I need to get in front of my potential audience to help them make a buying decision in a way that is quantifiable and connected to the relationship that I have with that specific client. So just keep that in mind as we kind of filter this down, as you think about this advertising product for you and for your company. How can you further take them, or what's the next step, each step down that funnel? Some of those might be initial calls to action of, hey, come do work with us, come use this product or offering. And then if they don't convert, then we have to change the message up a little bit. And how do you further define what that is and move them again further down that value ladder and give even more content, more value with testimonials and education about the product, so that they feel like from a subconscious perspective that they have all of those triggers that they need to create the success that they're looking to create with their ad product.
Yeah, absolutely. It does take time, so consistency again.
Yeah.
So here we go. You just name your audience now. You pick that day range in the past how many days. And again, start with the 365 days. Start with that one, and then you can get more specific.
Mm-hmm.
So page engagements, 365 days. You create audience. So there you go. So now these are populating. After we're done today on the webinar, then they'll be populated and show us the size. And then you can retarget to those people. Now should we finish up with one last type, Ryan?
Yeah, let's do it. Got about 5 minutes here.
One last type of custom audiences, and then be thinking of questions, because we'll have a minute or two for questions, is website. Oh, I went through that fast, sorry. You hit custom audience and you come to this website traffic button. And that's exactly what it sounds like. website traffic. So all website visitors in the past, you have a maximum time of 180 days. So that, again, that's what I'd start with, is make your maximum. This one is going to be limited on since you have placed the Facebook pixel. So if you placed the Facebook pixel last week, then right now, then even though you put 180 days, it's only going to be 1 week. But 6 months down the line, then it's going to build up that audience. And again, this is another one that is extremely powerful. We started with a client, and they had some really good website traffic. And we created this audience, and before we even started ads, this audience was already 60,000 people. And so you can target those people. But if you're the new business, just, again, stay consistent with it. Stay consistent with sending people to your website, because these people are even more likely to convert than the people that watch 25% of your video, because they've really taken action. They've come to your website. So name your audience, website traffic 6 months, and create audience. And you can get more advanced with that one, but that's the place to start. So any questions as we wrap up here? 3 minutes. Or any last comments, Ryan?
No, I think we just need to recognize the power of it, right? There's so much power in understanding this whole process of video views and page engagements. And you know, I also want to bring to light that, you know, as we talk and share with you this stuff, you're starting to see the power of Facebook advertising and what it can do for your business. Recognize, however, that this is complex. This is pretty complex in nature, and we're trying to share with you what we know and what we've learned in a very simplified manner. But there's a lot of depth behind this. There's even more depth than you would imagine, and there's so many different ways of taking this, that, or the other, and really trying to get those conversions as quickly as we possibly can. So this isn't going away. As you can tell, when you open up a custom audience, they're getting more and more specified and getting better and better at their ad product. You know, I hear all the time from businesses, well, I think I need to do something, I just don't know what. And that's where we're here to help you, right? That's where we're here to help you drive results for your business. Now, you can get in and do this yourself, or we can work hand in hand with you to really teach you the best ways to create success for your business. That's what it's all about. It's not about us. It's about how can we help you create higher levels of engagement so that you can remarket and retarget to. How can you drive more traffic to your website by using a Facebook ad product so that people come back and listen to you? How do you create the right type of video content? There's so many elements that go into each of these pieces that we're still just scratching the very top level surface. And we'll dive in depth on what we're doing, but just keep in mind that just because someone says they know how to do Facebook ads doesn't mean they know how to do Facebook ads. We see this all the time with competition, right? There's people that say, well, I do that and I do SEO and PPC and Google ads. I don't know how, quite honestly. Mitch, maybe you can explain this to me, but because we're so in depth and in bed with Facebook advertising, I don't know how anyone can do this and every other type of digital ad product out there. It just doesn't make sense to me. And quite honestly, if they're trying to do that, they're probably not doing this very well.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to keep up with the changes. Yeah, and these changes are happening on Google AdWords, on YouTube ads, on all these other ad products. The same changes are happening. And so, yeah, it'd be very difficult to keep up with Facebook ads and Google ads and all of the different stuff.
Well, thank you, my friends, for coming back to us again with our integrated marketing webinar. Next week, we're going to talk about, if you look at the creating a custom audience, there's still a couple things we haven't gone into. We're going to talk next week about building your audiences based on an email list and creating lookalike audiences from a customer file, right? And then we're also going to talk about what does that look like? What is a lookalike audience, and what's the purpose of a lookalike audience? Why would you ever leverage a lookalike audience in your business? And how can you get to that lookalike audience? Because we've noticed and we found, Mitch, and I think you would agree with this, based on a lot of ads, we've found that lookalike audiences typically convert a lot better than just behavior or interest audiences. So,
yeah, and it's a step-by-step process, because what we started with last week is what you have to start with. What we did today is what you get to next, is the second step. And then the third step is those lookalike audiences, because you have to have a base audience to make it off of. We'll see that next week.
So there's a question here, Mitch. Christy asked, where can she go to watch the last week's episode? We're working on getting our blog posts up and all this into a system. So stay with us, bear with us. Once we have that all up, we'll have a whole sequence of probably 20 of these integrated marketing webinars so you can go and look at. But Mitch, if you have a link access to that, if you'll get that over to Christy, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, we can get that over.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.